Okay, planning commission work session is now in. I'm going to read our purpose for today. Primary purpose of this meeting is to review the preferred urban growth boundary UGB alternative recommended by the UGB steering committee at their July 29, 2025 meeting, and either affirm that recommendation or refine it. At the joint work session of the planning commission and the city council on May 15th, two preliminary options, concept A and B, were presented along with possible refinement areas for review. The meeting is open to the public. There's a time set aside on the agenda for members of the public to provide comments. Public comment may be limited in individual time allowance per discretion of the planning commission chair to ensure sufficient time for the planning commission to deliberate and formulate the recommendations to the city council. So I'm going to ask you, if you've already given testimony and you're basically going to come up here and say the same thing, to, you know, it's repetitive. We know we've got letters, or if you need to, keep it very short, because this is primarily a work session, not a public hearing. Okay, termination of quorum. We've got 4 of us up here, and somebody else on the way, so we have a quorum. Scott, did you want to give the?
Sure. Thank you. Can you hear me? Is this no? Can you all hear me? Is it working?
Maybe, but not through that.
Looks like it's turning off as soon as I turn it on.
Technology.
Is this one working?
Hello, hello.
But I experienced a little technical difficulty here for a second. So just hold on for a few minutes. If it doesn't work, I can join planning commission up at the nice.
Is it working? Yeah, I hear it now. That's not. No, that's true.
These are different microphones. So.
Is it turned on? I think
It did turn on and it switched off.
Right now.
Hello? No, I'll just join you up there. How about that?
maybe the battery. Yeah. Well, they're teaching me that. I got it. 25. To rest after my long walk. I gotta take you on one of my bike rides this week. No, I did that stuff when I was a kid. In all these places, you guys all did. It's
all right, just in the nick of time.
just in time.
Okay.
Right.
We have that close.
Welcome, commissioners, chair, commissioners. Welcome to the public. This is the 6th meeting that we've had on the UGB amendment so far. The first one you guys have had since May, when you had that joint meeting with council to discuss at that time a concept A and a concept B. We're coming forward to you tonight to consider the recommendation of the UGB steering committee, which came to its recommendation on July 29th, 2025. So it's the hope that the planning commission can consider this recommendation and make their own recommendation. You could either pass on to council the recommendation as recommended by the steering committee, or or some other version that you see fit that is scheduled to go to the council September 24th for their final consideration of the boundary. And so that if that happens, that would conclude the initial process in the UGB amendment, which would put us at the next stage of actually coming forward with a land use approval for a comprehensive plan amendment through the city and the county for that recommended boundary. Before we get started, just wanted to go through a little disclosures, conflict of interest disclosures that we've added and that's just to identify if any of the commissioners do have a conflict or not. So as public officials, for the purposes of Oregon's government ethics law, they identify two types of conflicts of interest for public officials: an actual conflict of interest and a potential conflict of interest. In brief, a conflict of interest exists whether the actions of a public official acting in their capacity as a public official would or could result in a financial benefit or detriment to the public official, a relative of the public official, or a business with which either the public official or a relative of the public official is associated. So at most, the commission members would probably likely only have a potential conflict of interest when participating in this official action, decision, and recommendation, because this commission is only making recommendations on any potential urban growth boundary amendments, rather than making any final decisions. It is only a potential conflict of interest because any financial impact is not certain, given that any recommendation of the commission would be adopted, modified, or rejected by the council. In contrast, a member of the city council with a conflict of interest, when acting as part of the city council, would have an actual conflict of interest because their decision is the final act of the city regarding any potential urban growth boundary amendment. So this recommendation of staff at this time is just to go around to disclose whether you have a potential conflict or no conflict relative to this matter. Commissioner T. Wall, do you want to start?
I have no conflict of interest.
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 Okay, great. So I would like to also welcome Andrew Parrish from MIG Consultants, who is on Zoom with us today. Our consultant that's been helping us with this process since the beginning. And he's going to lead us through a presentation, give you an update on the project, give you a little more detail on what the recommendation was of the steering committee, and some next steps. We'll also touch on the update on what's happening with the rezone relative to McKenzie Meadows. And then as the chair said, we'll go into public comment at that point. And then after that, the idea is to make sure that the planning commission has plenty of time to deliberate the recommendation and come up with their own recommendation on a recommended boundary. So Andrew, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you great. Can you hear me and can you see my screen? Check, check, check.
Matt Hastings also on the line. Matt or Andrew, do you hear us?
We can hear you fine. Can you hear
Can't
me?
hear you.
Can you hear me? I am also here.
Yeah, we're talking. I don't think you can hear us in the room.
We can hear each other.
Yeah. Nothing.
Andrew, have you
I'm-
unmuted?
I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, looks like he has.
He needs to unmute.
Yeah, we're both unmuted.
Can you unmute?
I'm
please?
unmuted. Can you hear me?
I think he has.
Yeah, they changed up
Have they
their
been
audio
elevated to
settings for
host?
today, so
Have they been elevated to host?
we're
Yeah.
we're here.
Hmm.
Can you see us? I don't know.
They must be able to see us.
Yeah.
I'm going to text Scott real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead. Check, check, check.
Should we get Rebecca? Is she still here?
Are you seeing the screen, Matt? Check. Checking the mic.
Yeah, I can see the screen. I unmuted or I muted because I was voice texting Scott. I don't think it's at our end. Scott, can you hear me yet? Not yet.
Check, check.
Yeah. Can you all hear me
Yeah.
yet?
Gonna get some help from, we're gonna get some help from okay.
I'm not sure, they've had so many changes with this system.
Sorry, folks, just bear with us a few minutes while we get the audio visual technical issues worked out.
And then I double checked it. I don't know. I just, I might have been on all the hearings on the 5:30. I wasn't paying attention to like anything like a one-off. Yeah.
Slides and Scott can do it. Or call in. I don't know if they have a phone system.
Oh yeah, we could maybe do that. I don't know if it'll help. I mean, they're not hearing our mics here. They might not hear the phone mics, but maybe.
No, yeah, no, that'd be like do it outside of Zoom if they have something else,
Oh,
like an old
got
school
it.
phone system in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure there's just like a speaker somewhere in the room that they need to turn on.
No, this is no work.
And somebody disabled my video. I can't turn my video on. That's okay.
I'm sure she would love that.
You can get yourself in trouble. Yeah. Sexual. Makes in trouble.
I'm never gonna end my daughter, so don't, so I don't have it. No.
Scott texting you back.
Yeah, he said they're going to get some technical help.
No, no. I'll take over before that.
You may have to.
Yeah.
Mhm. We'll be here in spirit, Scott.
Just, like doing that. I don't necessarily have a fix, so I don't know what.
Is
No.
she's not here anymore? Is Carrie here?
I can give Scott a call and have him put the phone up next to the microphone.
Test.
Check, 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 check.
Hello? Can you hear us?
Well, you could probably,
I told him to let us know if
Probably-
he wants us to join by phone.
Yeah, did the agenda have a phone number?
Let me look.
pick Matt. If we can get the slides moved, I can just kind of do the presentation. Yeah, yeah, you have control over the slides. Yeah. Andrew, yeah. I think, I don't know if he can hear us.
I can hear you great.
Andrew, if you can hear us, can you move back to the lead deck slide?
Oh, he said he can, they said they can hear us, so. Matt, Andrew, we're having trouble hearing you guys, so I think I'm just gonna have to take over the presentation. And you can text me if I say anything wrong. But if you guys could forward the slides as we go, that would be great. So just a review of the agenda for tonight's meeting. I think I kind of already touched on it a little bit, so I think we can go ahead and skip that slide. Just wanted to give an update on terms of where we are in the overall project timeline. Back in March of 2024 was when the kickoff occurred for this project. And you can see that I think we're a little more than halfway. We've been in the preferred alternative mode for a while now, and we're getting closer to actually establishing a recommended preferred alternative. As I said, the steering committee on July 29th had made their recommendation. The planning commission is next in the order of review, and then council has the final call in terms of any recommendations. And so we'll be discussing that recommended alternative tonight. As I mentioned, once we get to a point where we have a preferred boundary alternative, that's when we would actually make a formal land use submittal to ourselves and to the county. That technically it's an amendment to our comprehensive plan as well as an amendment to the county's comprehensive plan, and both of those get reviewed concurrently. And with any luck, we would have a joint meeting with the county commissioners and the council at the end of this process where they would hopefully approve that comp plan amendment. And then we would go into what we call our area planning process, which would start to apply more detail to that boundary in terms of where those specific land uses that we've mentioned that we need would go, and how it would be served with utilities, and how we would start to plan out major roads, connections and things of that nature, the character of the development. And that area plan is kind of the tool that developers would use to fashion their master plans that they would propose to annex into the city. So please go forward. So as where we are right now, we do have a preferred recommendation from the steering committee. We are also at the same time monitoring the outcome of the rezone for the Mackenzie Meadows Village process. It is important to note that the steering committee did make a recommendation to move with a concept that did not include Mackenzie Meadows Village owned properties, but it's technically the planning commission has the right to make a recommendation whether they want to include it or not, assuming that the rezoning is successful. And they are at a point now where they have conditional approval from the board pending some further details. I think they're going to produce a draft decision that's going to be reviewed by the board at a future meeting, which I don't think has been identified yet. And if that's approved, that would technically make those lands priority one lands. We do have the specter of a potential appeal to those, to that approval that could expand that process, as we've talked about in the past. We start to move into the phase of after we've kind of formulated a recommended boundary, we can start with that initial framework for that area planning. So we don't technically have to wait till the end of the land use process, or if we were to put the process on hold while we await the play out of the Mackenzie Meadows Village process pending council approval to do that, or council direction to do that. We can start with some of the area planning process. We don't have to wait till the end of that process to start that. There's some overlap that we can be doing. We've also, in the meantime, had some check-ins with our Public Works Department, Engineering, and ODOT to bring ODOT up to speed, because the last time we talked to them, we were looking at an expansion area that completely surrounded the city at that time. They said, why don't you come back and let us know when you start to focus in on a certain area. So it was a good opportunity for them to get an update. We had mentioned the steering committee's recommendation that included some parcels along 126 that could necessitate a connection to Highway 126. They're obviously interested in what impacts development would have on Highway 20 and the rest of their system as well. So they didn't have any firm conclusions other than to us to bring them up to speed and for them to indicate that they were going to have to do some pretty specific traffic analysis, update our transportation system plan to help them with identifying any future improvements or impacts to their system. But it was a good opportunity to check in with them. We also talked about access spacing standards on 126, currently with a more of a high-speed section. The spacing of the access points tend to be much wider. But they had mentioned that if these areas were brought into the UGB, they would be looking at more of an urban kind of setting where the speeds are lower and those access points can be closer to each other. So go forward, please. As I touched on briefly, with the rezone of the Mackenzie Meadows Village LLC parcels, the hearings officer held a hearing initially April 7th. They issued their recommendation of approval on June 25th, 2025, and then went to the Board of County Commissioners at their hearing on August 6th, which gave them a conditional approval pending specific decision document with conditions about landscape management overlay, creek buffers, and other issues. And as mentioned, there's continued potential for appeal of that county decision. So that's a brief introduction to where we are with the project. We'll go into more detail in terms of the specifics about the proposed boundary recommendation from the steering committee, what that entails after public comment. So, Chair, I'd turn it back over to you to conduct the public comment.
Okay, we have quite a few. You just want to do 3 minutes?
How many do we have?
Yeah.
10. Okay, so we had about, I think, 15 to 20 minutes dedicated on the agenda for public comment. If you want to extend it to 20 feet or 20 minutes, that'd be about 2 minutes of comment. It's up to you. Do we have, Carol, I don't know if we can, I don't know if we're able to hear them, but do we have anybody on Zoom participating there?
We have a couple of them. I just asked Christina, can you hear us?
Do you know if we'll be able to get people on Zoom to be able to comment or not?
Oh, wait.
Andrew Hall, a cell phone.
Christina, can you hear me?
Right, we have a cell phone. And that should work fine. You can share his screen still. That should all work fine. But
Okay.
just to get the audio.
What about people on Zoom? Would they be able to?
Yeah.
They'd be able to provide comment?
Hello?
The technology is wonderful until it doesn't work.
That's a good question.
Was that Christina? I can hear you on Zoom here, but I don't think they can hear us in the room.
Oh, I submitted my comments in writing last night.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hear us, but we'll figure out how
Okay.
to make that work. I'll let them know.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt. Can you, I'm gonna put my phone up to the speaker and we're gonna try to see if you can speak through it that way. So it's our little hack for today. So,
If
okay,
you're
I'm
on
gonna put you on
Zoom,
speaker
could you
and see
raise
if it
your
works,
hand,
okay?
please, so we can test Zoom?
Matt, do you wanna kind of just test out, just say something into the microphone?
Sure. Can you all hear me?
Can you guys hear? It's a little tough with the audience. But what?
Should I try again? Testing?
It's here.
Try it again, Matt.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Got a little better? Okay, yeah. We're good there. Thanks, Matt.
Okay. No worries. Should I
Okay.
should I hang up?
I think you can stay on the line. We're just gonna go into public comment here, though.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna take public comment, limited to 2 minutes. I'm gonna go from the order of receive these. So Tom and Doris.
My name's Tom Doris. I live at 1942 West Williamson Avenue here in Sisters. Thank you for letting me have a chance to speak. As you know, with the option B land, it's surrounded on 3 sides by forest, and they could build at least 160 homes there in an already dense area. You got Tollgate with 400 homes to the northwest. You got 3 villages to the southeast with 414 homes. And during an emergency, they're all gonna funnel out to Highway 20 and then through downtown Sisters. To me, that's gonna spell disaster. It reminds me a lot of Paradise. Sisters and Paradise are similar in nature, where you got drought conditions, strong winds, surrounded by trees, and few evacuation routes. In fact, several people died trying to get out of the fire in Paradise. Sisters wants to provide affordable housing where it is needed the most, for workers, handicapped people, and older folks that can have easy access within walking distance to the downtown area. There are already serious plans in place to meet these objectives and increase its urban growth without adding this rezoning property to the mix, which, by the way, is far from downtown Sisters. Option A also has better egress, closer to the Southern Highway 20 route and not having to funnel through downtown Sisters. If you look at all the responses for both the surveys from the city of Sisters and the county, I calculated that 99% of those that responded were against having option B included. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Christopher Kovac.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Chris Kovac, 937 Northwest Newport, and I represent Mackenzie Meadow Village and its members. I know this is a work session. I just want to provide my clients' thoughts on a couple of things for you to consider as you continue on with your recommendation. The first is, it feels very important that you do a qualitative assessment of the needs of the citizens. The need has been identified as a need for housing. That's the primary one. And I was on your website, I found a lot of great stuff about the need for affordable housing. This study that Johnson did goes through all the statistics of what incomes are generated here in households and then what housing they can afford and how they need to match those two. And the conclusion is, as of 2019, there was a current need for affordable housing in the city. And it isn't getting any better. My client will present testimony that the gap between what people are earning and what house prices are is growing. So I think you should do that qualitative assessment. And then these properties shovel ready. Utilities are there. I disagree with the prior commentator. It's close to the city. It's ready to go. And more importantly, my client has made a commitment to 30% affordable housing. A commitment. Juxtapose that to the other properties that are restricted by CC&Rs and parcelized. You're gonna have to make an assumption that people are gonna come together to move these CC&Rs in the immediate future and develop that affordable housing. I think that's unrealistic. Now, as to the as there are some properties there, I do want to say there are some that are comparable, and we think those should come in, but they're not enough. As to the appeal, I do the MMB work. We got a 3-0 vote from the county. People are understanding. County wants this property in. They want people to deliver the need. People at the state recognize that. Furthermore, if you keep that property out, you put property in that does not meet your need, do you really think that advocates for housing are not going to appeal that decision? I think the appeal is overrated. You should factor in the appeal, and it will be a quick appeal anyway. We've got a 3-0 vote. If they appeal us, we'll win. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Martha?
I'm Martha Lustop. I live at 69915 Meadowview Road. I've lived in Sisters 20 years this year. Here's my one question and 3 points supporting the steering committee's recommendation to not include the Mackenzie Meadow Village property as an option for the Sisters urban growth boundary. Studies worldwide show that habitat loss is the main reason why species of birds and other wildlife and plants are becoming extinct. Then why select the Mackenzie Meadow Village property for an area to be included in the Sisters UGB? Because now the property provides homes for sensitive birds and a rare plant species, Pex penstemon, but they cannot survive residential development there. In case you don't know what Pex penstemon is, I have this poster from Blackview, one of the few places it grows. Properties being considered in concepts A and B have already lost their original habitats and are ready for affordable homes and other development. Also, the properties in concepts A and B are not nearly as susceptible to wildfire as the Mackenzie Meadow Village property, which is surrounded by forest on 3 sides. These are just 2 reasons among many others for following the steering committee's recommendation to not consider the Mackenzie Meadow Village property for expanding our town's UGB. Concept A is the preferred UGB alternative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kurt Goldberg?
How you doing? My name's Kurt Colbert, Post Office Box 3500, Sisters, Oregon. Been there 50 years. You probably heard that before. Went to the county commissioners. Never been to them before. It was a unanimous vote. The Mackenzie Meadow should be part of this urban growth boundary expansion. Bill Chang, I've never met, know the other 2 county commissioners a little bit, but he also pointed out that Mackenzie Meadow, unlike other comments, has a better fire rating than this side of town. And that's because of the grasslands and that. Bill Chang said that is a better, safer area than this side because the fire can move so fast through the grass and that. And wasn't my words, that was coming out of Economic Commissioner Bill Chang. We would like to also commend the committee that studied this a little bit. Their hands were tied. Mackenzie Meadow wasn't where it is right now. It was unanimously approved as a piece that should be considered now, and definitely should be. It's by far the best location. Walking to the schools, walking to the fields, walking to shopping, you know, eliminating traffic, places where you can walk and bike. This side of town, there's some good property over there. I don't want to throw rocks at it, but Mackenzie Meadow, as the county commissioners said, is ready to go. And we're committed to protect the species. We offered exactly that document that is being drawn up. We will protect the endangered species. We will give wildlife corridors through that property so they can move from Forest Service to Forest Service. So just throwing us away is I think it's totally wrong, and the county commissioners agree is ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Graydon Manning?
Hello. My name is Graydon Manning, 1506 Northeast First Street in Bend, Oregon, representing CS Construction. We're currently developing the Woodlands project on the west side of town. We partnered with Brooks Resources and have engaged with many landowners in the inner Northeast and Barclay Meadows sub areas. We provided you all a letter that includes some of the details from our concept planning efforts. We've contemplated various zoning outcomes and neighborhood configurations that would align with the goals of the UGB expansion. We're focused on meeting those needs through a combination of market rate, workforce and affordable housing, rental housing, commercial, park open space, and the potential for connectivity to Highway 126. Our planning efforts remain conceptual until the UGB expansion process and area planning efforts are put in place and evolve further. Our aim is to work with the city, work with landowners through the area process and remain flexible in our approach until details are solidified. Importantly, there's currently a project in planning in the inner northeast and Barclay Meadows subareas that aligns landowners and experienced developer partnership in the goals of the UGB expansion. We look forward to working with you on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen?
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Kristen Reidelberger, and I'm the Associate Program Manager for the Cities and Towns Program
Can't really hear you.
at Central Oregon Land Watch. I also served as an ex officio member of the UGB Steering Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. Landwatch urges the Planning Commission to support a right-sized UGB expansion that closely aligns with the Steering Committee's recommendation AA. The Steering Committee's nearly unanimous recommendation is the result of thorough discussion and consideration, data analysis, and community input. The proposed expansion area also reflects what the Sisters community has supported through a year-long public engagement process and a well-attended open house. The recommended AA boundary largely stems from concept A, but includes an additional 59 gross acres near the airport for the intended purpose of meeting commercial and industrial land needs. We support the Steering Committee's reasoning for this, but we also want to ensure that the final gross and net acreages meet the demonstrated land need as closely as possible. Landwatch does not support including the Mackenzie Meadows property in the UGB expansion and is opposed to the proposed rezone of this property. There is no demonstrated need for the Mackenzie Meadows property to be included in the UGB, as the city's growth and affordable housing needs can be met within Priority 1 lands. To underline this point, we have seen another prospective developer who just spoke share their plans to produce affordable and workforce housing within the recommended AA boundary. Further, this property includes resource lands protected for forest, wildlife habitat, open space, and recreation values. Landwatch opposes the proposed rezone application due to the issues outlined here, as well as concerns about meeting the applicable criteria for an exception to Oregon Land Use Planning Goal 4 and compliance with Goal 14. Thank you for your service and consideration.
Thank you. Bill Willetts?
The time until the movie's out.
Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Bill Willetts, 68621 East Highway 20, Sisters, Oregon. And I prepared this morning from an environmental prism and then a 30% affordable housing prism. And page 1 is the current tree stand that I'm not great at technology, but I counted far less than 360 trees. We expect to save about 30% of those, which means we will harvest 252 trees from the project. Page 2 is our wildlife corridors per our decision, or conditional decision. We're going back and offering a wildlife corridor at the back of the property, as well as a 200-foot buffer that will protect pets and allow all wildlife to bisect the property. And then 3 is where I did my tree count with a little pen, and I think I came up with about 280 trees, but I thought I'd get to 360. And for me, I believe Mackenzie Meadow Village, excuse me, represents the best land for buildable housing in Sisters. We got unanimous approval from the county commission, which is unique, that Phil Shane was on board conditionally. We're gonna trade 252 trees for 129 affordable houses. I think that's a pretty good bargain. And we're supported by Soul because they'll build 12 units on our property. Habitat, we hope they'll build about 10% or approximately 40 units on our property. And Curtis Scholes, our school superintendent. We have infrastructure in. If you go back to the second page.
No, we're not running out of two.
Time's up. So I didn't hear the buzzer.
I turned it off.
Sorry. All right.
Sorry.
I turned it off.
Peter?
Good evening, Commissioners. Peter Hoover, Sisters Habitat 2-1 South Ash Street here in Sisters. The city of Sisters, as we all know, has a critical housing shortage right now for affordable homes. Your housing needs assessment was pointed out earlier from 2019, and your assessment that was created by the Department of Administrative Services by the state of Oregon in December of 24 shows that more than 600 new affordable dwellings are needed between now and the next 20 years. We're talking about housing for residents who are earning $18 to $40 an hour. That means your teachers, your grocery store workers, your retail sales clerks, your hospitality workers, mechanics, medical personnel, manufacturing staff, retirees, and the talented graduates of Sister High School who would like to remain in their hometown. Those are the ones that we need to create the housing for. For 35 years, we've been the primary creator of affordable homes in Sisters. We're out of land 2 years. Our construction of affordable homes will halt. The affordable housing shortage will increase. You have an opportunity with Mackenzie Meadows Village. Because of their community commitment, the owners are voluntarily taking a significant fiscal hit by guaranteeing 30% of the homes will be priced so that workers and retirees can live here in Sisters. As you weigh this matter, I urge you to consider the impact your decisions will have for years and years to come on the housing supply in Sisters. Not only that, it's a supply of workers who support and serve the community, but it's also a determination as to who gets to live here and who does not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Cole? Is that correct? Can read your handwriting.
Hi, hello, my name is Cole Gonzalez. I am a member of the board of the nonprofit Sisters Opportunity for Unified Living in Borstal. Our mission is to create affordable long-term homes for adults with intellectual and developmental. We want to build in Sisters so our people, many of whom grew up here, can stay here where they've developed a community. Our first biggest hurdle is land. My colleague Tina Menzing spoke at the last UGB meeting. She told you we have an agreement with MMV and suggested we'd be happy to build within option A if someone would sell us half an acre for $1. Shockingly, no one came forward. We've chatted with a few landowners within option A, people we know. They told us either they have no interest in selling at this time or that they just want a developer to buy the property. They don't want to be involved in a building process. I get it. I didn't want to build housing either. I lived in Sisters for 13 years, and in that time, we've seen multiple developers promise affordable housing only to have it evaporate in the end. And NMB is different. Their first development committed to 10% affordable, and they actually delivered. I trust them to follow through on their commitment to 30%, but it's more than that. My calculations affordable, by my calculations, affordable means a home could cost as much as $2,800 per month. 2 full-time minimum wage employees shouldn't pay more than $1,600 a month. Because of their disabilities, future residents of Seoul generally work less than full-time, so their rent needs to be much lower. By partnering with Seoul and Habitat for Humanity, MMB is ensuring that affordable housing is truly not just legally affordable. They have provided a blueprint for a development that makes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sharon?
Thank you. My name is Sharon Booth. I'm a retired doctor. I live at 69453 Lasso and Sisters. And I have a nice short request for you. I'm opposed to the inclusion of Mackenzie Meadows expansion into the 58 acres that are adjacent to the Trout Creek Conservation Area. Many of us have made statements already about the science behind the need to avoid high density housing next door to the conservation area. But I prefer the AA option to avoid that conflict. And I have a treat for you. I'm going to show you a picture that's worth 1,000 words. Actually, you get two of them. One is the white-headed woodpecker, and the other is the flammulated owl, both of whom live in the conservation area and whose population will definitely be impacted by high-density housing right next door to them. It's not like it's a few blocks away, it is right next door. Beautiful special birds. Is there someone still here?
No, just me.
Does anybody else want the copy, please?
Yes, that's fine.
That's all.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we're moving to urban growth boundary location priorities and.
Is that it for the, sorry, Chair, is that it
Yes.
for signed up? We
That's it
have,
for everyone who's
we
signed up.
have folks on Zoom. I don't know if we have the ability to hear them or not. We don't.
Rebecca said no, but I'll try one.
I'm sorry.
I will try one to see if it works.
I can
Okay.
I can check the audio here. Can anybody hear me?
Timothy, are you on Zoom? Can you hear me?
Hello, did you say Tim Braby?
She said that she didn't think that we could do Zoom.
Okay, unfortunately, the folks who are participating in the meeting on Zoom, we're having technical difficulties. We're not able to hear folks who are on Zoom. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hear your public comment. I know several of you have submitted, I recognize your names, you have submitted recent letters that I have shared with the Planning Commission. So they have your comments. You also have an opportunity at City Council to provide public comment and written comments prior to that. So I apologize to those folks who are on Zoom, but we're not going to be able to hear you unfortunately today.
That's a little suspicious.
Unfortunately, it's the audio issues are affecting the consultants here as well. We can't
Okay.
hear us in the room.
Back to me. So Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, were you planning on jumping on for Andrew for the next step in the presentation, or am I?
Either way, I can, or Andrew could call into your cell phone and he could try it. Either way.
It's your choice, whichever one you would prefer, you or Andrew.
I'm gonna suggest Andrew give you a call.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
I'll text Andrew your cell phone if he doesn't have it.
Okay.
All right, hold on.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is Andrew.
okay. Hello, this is Andrew Parrish on the line from MIG. We got you as loud as we can. So if you wouldn't mind, they got the presentation up on the screen. If you want to kind of be comfortable taking the lead on walking them through this next section.
Yes, hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Andrew Parrish with MIG. I am going to walk you through a couple of slides here that's pretty similar to what we spoke to the steering committee about. Just to remind everybody the land need that has been identified to date. We're talking about 170 acres of residential land, about 50 acres of employment land, 19 acres for parks, open space, and trails, a 15-acre school site. So that is a total of about 255 gross acres of land, or something like 180 to 200 acres of net developable land, kind of depending on assumptions about which structures are assumed to remain on specific properties and things like constrained floodplain areas and so on. We presented a variety of refinements to what we called Concept A last time we spoke to you all. Concept A and all of its refinements that we talked about all use land that rank highly on the Goal 14 factors that the city is required to use for its urban growth boundary decision. And those three concepts that we made, which were kind of variations on the theme of Concept A, there was one that included more of Indian Ford Creek in the meadow area for the purpose of getting more open space and trails kind of in the urban growth boundary. There was a second option that included a greater amount of land near the Sisters Eagle Airport, mainly for commercial and industrial uses. And then there was a third option that included a greater amount of land along Highway 126 for commercial and industrial uses. And so these are kind of the rough sketches of those concepts. So we have A on the left, and then A1, A2, and A3, kind of different ways to push the balloon in one place and have it pop out another place. During the course of the meeting, there was a suggestion of kind of A1 variant and a basic Concept A variant, and so that's how we got those names A.A and A1.A. And eventually the steering committee voted and settled on Concept A.A as their preferred concept, and so that's shown on this map here in kind of the orange. It's 314 gross acres and about 202 net acres. It is basically Concept A with the addition of land near the Sisters Eagle Airport. So it spans the kind of entire eastern portion of the urban growth boundary, north of Highway 126 and south of the airport. And it achieves the, I guess, the reasoning, the rationale as articulated in that meeting where this option avoids potentially lengthy delays associated with any appeals for the county rezone. It includes opportunities for commercial and industrial development adjacent to the airport and Highway 126. It allows for a future north-south connector road to Highway 126, which folks have said would be pretty important to serve the amount of development in this area. It includes portions of Indian Ford and White's Creek corridors for future open space and trail networks, and these properties score high on the evaluation criteria. So we think the boundary decision would be defensible. And then just to throw on the map, this was option B, as folks have said. The steering committee voted early on not to kind of refine and pursue other options with Concept B here. So I'll leave this on the screen, and Scott can kind of MC the discussion here in the room. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Any questions of Andrew or the staff on any of the materials or anything you've heard today that you need some feedback on? No. Otherwise, we have some questions that we posed to you to help maybe spur the discussion. including, do you support the steering committee recommendation to not include the MMV Village property in the preferred alternative at this time? If yes, do you support the recommendation of the steering committee, or do you recommend any refinements to it? If you recommend including the MMV property in the preferred boundary, what other properties in the area recommended by the steering committee should be removed? Anybody?
Want to start with you, Joe?
Sure. I don't have a lot of questions right now. I'm just kind of soaking it all in. So I'm, there's a lot of stuff to kind of
What do you
ponder.
think about the steering committee?
Well, I like what they did for sure. I like that. I was just looking for that map right there. And I was gonna try to draw with a pencil on there, like a north, like an avenue to get a road through there. On that.
Should we put it back up on the screen?
Sure, that's all right.
Andrew, could you put the concept AAA back up on the screen?
I can get on the bad. Yeah, that's one of the things trying to. I guess like the property's done on 126. Those are the ones that are being kind of semi-held for like maybe employment properties.
I think
Was that the theory?
The airport also.
And by the airport also. Yeah, that's it fits in there, I guess. I haven't quite grasped that concept yet of that being town, but I guess I can kind of see it. I just haven't really pictured it. I haven't thinking about it for a week, obviously, but yeah, that's it for now.
Okay.
Right this second.
Yeah, I generally support the steering committee's recommendation. I think more of my questions probably come to the area planning and how specifically the properties around 126 kind of balance employment, industrial plus trails, parks, and then a potential connector. I live in Timber Pine, and I know a lot of people kind of come through our neighborhood as a shortcut into town from 126, and so I'm curious about how those lots will be zoned if they are included. But I agree with moving forward with the steering committee's recommendation.
Yeah, I also agree with moving forward with the UGB steering committee recommendation. I've also been thinking about those 126 properties, and like we've talked a lot about, and I think, this comes into the area planning. This is just deciding which parcels come into the UGB boundary, and then, the area planning kind of gets into what areas will be industrial, commercial, residential, parks, schools. I do think trying to connect 126 to the future development is really important. Whether those end up being commercial on 126 or it's just a road that goes through, and it is hard with the White's Creek. I think we all agree that we want to kind of preserve and have more access to nature and creeks. So, I think that's where the area planning really will come in handy of thinking about how can we balance the, and we do have space for other commercial up by the airport, which, based on the airport recommendation should be commercial and industrial and not residential because there's an airport right there. So I think the concept, seeing it, we kind of drew it, I'm on the UGB steering committee, we drew it, seeing it, each parcel. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I think the UGB committee spent a whole lot of time looking at almost each parcel, how to fit it all together. And that's why we came up with the AA concept, is it kind of balances the whole affordable or housing and work, whether it be commercial or retail, and potential for parks in that same general area. So it kind of matched all the criteria that we were supposed to be looking at. Is the best, maybe not, but we spent a whole lot of time looking at all the details, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I have to say is I support the steering committee vote, as attractive as the other piece of property is, and the fact that there could be a 30% affordable housing and quick build, you know, shovel ready. Unfortunately, I've seen things go to LUBA, things get contested. There's a development that has gotten, has gotten approval. And we're now 3 or 4 years down the road now, and it's still going through more appeals. And that's down at Lower Bridge. So it's just, how long do you want to wait? And I think we need to go ahead. You know, my view is, and if it does get approved and there's no appeal, then we can take a look. But for now, I think this is how we should proceed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I knew more about the appeal process and all that. It seems like everybody kind of, they don't play their cards, right? They don't, and I understand why you don't play your cards. And I just wish I knew, like, what are they going to do? How are
Yeah, what are the odds it's going to get appealed, and how many times will it get
Yeah.
appealed, and do they appeal the decision? Does it go to LUBA? Does that decision get appealed? Does it?
And then there's some trade or something that's really, really complicated, and I wish I knew more about it, but.
Can I ask you a question? I know there's regarding the Mackenzie Meadow property, I know there's a verbal commitment about commit to affordable housing, but what are, I'm gonna say, legal ways that the city would be able to actually hold that to be accountable in the future?
Yeah, most likely that would be through an annexation agreement.
That would come down the road.
That would come down the road, yeah.
But it's totally possible.
What's possible?
To annex that property,
Which property?
the McKinsey Meadow property.
Is
If
it,
we ignored it right now, I mean, how does that work? What does that look like going forward?
So
Can they-
are you
can they-
assuming that they get their approval?
Yeah, they say they get their approvals, but we go on without them at this point. What does that look like for them?
Well.
Is there still a path forward for them?
You know, they could potentially, you know, if we've talked about creating urban area reserves, you know, that we'd identify which properties would be the next round of urban growth boundary amendments, and then they could be like in good position for that. But that, you know, we don't know if that's 10 years or 20 years or probably not more than 20, but
This is written in stone. I mean, as you said earlier, we have a lot of other things to do. So if we could consider that property at some point, if it's approved, how long do we have before, if we continue the way we're going now?
well, at some point we need to put forward a boundary, preferred boundary through a comprehensive plan amendment process. So once we go into that process, we're kind of locked in with that boundary. We could put that process off for a little while if we wanted to, if we wanted to wait. I don't think there's anything that requires us to go right into that land use process. Other than just time. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but yeah.
I guess I want to clarify the intent to my question. It's not necessarily to include the Mackenzie Village now. I'm still in favor of the steering committee's preferred concept, but just understanding in the future, if there are verbal commitments to affordable housing, what is the legal standing we have to actually enforce that? Because there are times, I'm not saying that every developer is like this, but I have seen a commitment to that, and then when it actually comes to being built, then we don't actually get the affordable housing at whatever rate was initially promised. And so that was more of just like a general question.
Yeah, it's just until it's written down and until it's written in an agreement, it's just a statement, you know, I mean, it's a, you know, you put the value in it that you wanted to put into it, but until it's like in a full-on agreement, then it's not a commitment.
Right, unless it's like a
Official commitment.
community benefit agreement
Yeah.
of some kind. Okay.
There's a chance that some of those offers could go off the table. Like, as soon as, like, if they don't get included in this, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that they would say, well, let's just go ahead with our process, our normal building process then. And that would be fair, I guess it would. you know, they're like, hey, made you guys an offer, but here's that, and no longer on the table. Does that make sense? Okay.
Anything else?
Part of what we're trying to accomplish tonight is to forward a recommendation of some sort to city council, is that correct?
That's correct.
So we need to come up with some type of decision tonight, hopefully, what we want to do.
Right. Well, I think so far we've all said the same thing.
I have a couple of questions about, well, maybe just one big one, the stuff that gets expanded that does go to, like single family dwelling and stuff like that. So what are, and I know these are already written down, what kind of low income housing restrictions are we gonna put on these? Are they gonna match our existing conditions?
You know, we haven't had that discussion yet. The presumption is that on the following up from this UGB amendment process that we would start crafting some annexation policy with the council and updating our annexation standards that would start to pinpoint and specify how much, what percentage, you know, and what types of housing we would require, and what income restrictions we're looking at, things of that nature.
Yeah, and I realize it's kind of a sliding scale now, but
it's actually not on the, you know, it's not really a criteria for the review of the UGB amendment. We all know we need it in the community, and the hope is that the UGB will help deliver some of that housing, but it's technically not a criteria for our review right now.
Yeah.
It's the hope is that we're setting up land that will help facilitate future, you know, considerations for, you know, developing on hillsides. It's more expensive. Probably that's somewhat not conducive to building affordable housing, but are the lands we bring in going to help facilitate future affordable housing? And all types of housing, really.
Sure.
So.
That would go for any future roads and cut throughs through any of these lots. That would make more of a network as opposed to the larger parcels. Like, I guess right now Barclay and Perry and Huntington are kind of, for the most, Barclay's a through street, but Perry and Huntington's kind of a dead end. So how things get connected in these larger plots, I guess is what I'm asking. Like that development will happen with the area planning and with city engineering.
Yeah, I mean, with the area planning, we'll start to take a look at, you know, where like arterials or collector roads, kind of your bigger roads would generally, or maybe areas we know we want to connect. You know, that could fluctuate with actual master plans brought in, but that kind of lays out the expectation for future developers that city wants an arterial road in this area. So
we're gonna have to build a bridge.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be a bridge if we end up with this boundary. And then the master plans kind of take it into the local street level and the subdivisions down to even the lot level. So that detail starts to increase as time goes on.
After reading, you know, all the correspondence, there's a number of people that said they're ready to go basically, and they're promising a percentage of affordable housing. But there's also some people that aren't interested at this point. Like we talked about, it's a 20-year plan, but what happens if they're in the area, but they decide they don't want to do anything with their property at this point, and that's where we want to run an arterial or connector or something like that.
Problematic.
You're just stuck.
Well, that is a potential issue. Yeah, I mean, as we've mentioned in the past, it just because the property owner is not supportive of being in the urban growth boundary doesn't mean that they necessarily can't be brought into the urban growth boundary.
Right.
But it's their choice whether they would annex or not down the road. So
or just
yeah,
nothing with their property or not.
yeah. I mean, yeah. The thinking is that over 20 years, property changes hands. People's perceptions about growth change over time. So the hope is that over that 20-year period, that most of those properties would decide to annex and then facilitate those access points. But for a period of time, that could potentially block an access to 126 if those properties didn't want to go forward.
You said, we indicated the next phase would be some of that original planning. Would the planning commission be part of that plan?
The area planning?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something that the planning commission would have to recommend approval of, and then council would adopt.
So we're gonna have work to do no matter what we do.
Yeah. So, and being this is a work session, would we still take a vote?
I think it's good to kind of, as similar to the steering committee, they took a vote, made a motion and seconded to say what they did support, and people could register whether they support that or not. And that, I think, is valuable to the council to understand what level of support there was.
So the way I read this thing, I don't know where it's out here in my pile of stuff, but the steering committee was 9-1, is that correct? You guys were mostly unanimous except for one person voted for, so, and they didn't say what the other person voted for, but yeah.
Did I make a motion? Yeah, unless anybody has any other.
I'm good. I answered all these questions. Those questions.
Anything else before we decide?
I move that we forward concept AA up to the city council, recommend that they go with that.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay. Thank you. As mentioned, the next step would be go to this. Currently, we have scheduled with city council for them to review this on September 24th. It's a tentative date, but it's looking right now. It's looking pretty promising that would be the date. So pay attention to the website for any information, any changes to that, as well as staff information, staff report coming out a week ahead of that. Also, if you're interested, all the correspondence that we get, we update the city website so you can read all the latest correspondence through the website. And if you have any questions on anything, please contact me at the city. And appreciate y'all coming out tonight.
We're adjourned. Thank you.